So you moved it where?
You asked me to move it
Yeah, so
to
you
right
sound
here.
better. What's up, profitable stylist? Here we go this week. We're trying to get Bernard to sound good, even though he sounds angelic every
Can
week.
you hear me?
Oh my
Since I sound what?
gosh, angelic. You have an angelic voice. Why don't you sing to YouTube how you were singing to me earlier? You know, everybody's a rock star in the shower
Yeah,
or in the car at a red light before anybody else pulls up next to them.
I know. I feel like a singer. I did not hook this thing up. Oh my God. They had this thing here I was supposed to put in front of it, you know. Then I really, oh, I just hit the computer again, and I was supposed to hook this on there, and I don't know, just I feel like it's like, so can y'all see me? You know, it's a little too much, just a little too much. Don't know if it actually does anything.
See,
What's
Bernard
the
is
topic
learning
today?
all the audio techniques, just like we're going to be talking about hair extension techniques. How many techniques do you have to master before you get good at doing something?
Well, what about all these classes all over the country? You know, I watched it and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. The five techniques class. Come to our class and learn how to do five different extension techniques, all in 30 minutes. No,
All in 30 minutes.
yeah. I mean, why not? Let's just make it a little better, you know? Get back home to your children quickly. But at first, I was a little like, how many techniques could people be teaching in one day, half a day, 4 hour class? And then I was on the phone with a friend of mine the other day, and he kind of brought it home for me. He said, he goes, yeah, so you know, you got these girls taking these classes and they learning like four, five, six techniques in 1 day class. Are you still doing the five techniques? I said, it didn't go over so well. He goes, I know, listen, I asked this girl, I asked her, I was trying to sell her she hair, and I told her over in California, and he said, I'm trying to sell her she hair. And she says, oh, is that a keratin bond? He goes, yes. And she goes, oh, I already know how to do that. And he goes, oh, do you? Yeah, I took one of those five technique classes the other day. And it's almost like I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express. I can do anything, you know? Oh yeah, I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express. I got it. No problem. So he said, this is the part I love because it reminds me of me doing this so many times in the past and I just kind of forgot it. He said, oh, really? Well, let me see you do one. Oh, that's what
Oh, he did. Oh, he
that
went
was
there
smart.
with it.
That was
Oh.
smart. Right. He said so she's she got nervous. And rightfully so.
Sure.
Because it was one of five techniques in 1 day, and the person teaching it probably keratin bonding is not their number one technique. If they're teaching five different ones, they probably have a favorite themselves. Anyway, bottom line is she was terrible. She was terrible. He said, "Oh my goodness, that is." He said, let me show you how I do it." And then she said, "Oh wow, okay, they didn't show it anything like that." He said, so we spent another 30, 40 minutes going over the technique, and she was so grateful, happy, realized that she probably didn't learn any one of her five techniques very well.
Any of the five techniques.
Right, right. So he's doubling down on focus, and I thought, not a bad idea. I mean, I think it's clickbaity and people love the value. You feel like you're getting a lot of value, you know. If you're going to spend 12, 1,500, 3 or 4,000 in some of these cases to learn a technique, if they say, what if we show you three or five? It's like, you know what? So we did it for a while. We did the five techniques,
We
and
did.
we have five techniques, and we went right along with the marketing plan, ploy. Oh, I got something in my eye. But the thing about this five techniques thing, it ends up not really being a class where you can learn any one of them really well. But I think there might be a time and place for it. For us, what happened was for the five techniques, what happened is it was more of a try a little bit of each of five, see which one or two you really love, come back for an advanced class, really come back for the basic class for the one or two you pick,
So
and
could
let's
really
just
focus and get good at that one.
yeah, let's
How's
drive
that
down.
expression? You know, I'm always suck at the expressions. It's like you're the master of nothing. You're the jack of you're the jack of You always correct
Jack of
my
all,
expressions.
jack of all trades, master of none.
That's the one. That one.
Yeah, yeah, Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, Jack.
Knowing a little bit about everything and not knowing a whole lot about any one thing is a lot of people's curse, actually. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I think some people don't know enough about anything, and so that, to me, that's kind of how I looked at the education world, or just being a hairdresser in general, and people who are addicted to education. I think there's a time and a place for all of that stuff. And in a lot of cases, going back to other videos we've done, early in your career is when you need to try everything, be a master at nothing, because you don't know which one you're going to love. You kind of do have to try everything. Just like a kid in high school, man, what do you want to go to college for? No freaking idea. I just want to make money. How
Right.
much money? A lot of money. You fill out these forms. I remember back then it was on a computer. You fill out this placement thing, and all the questions. Everybody was going to be the same thing, because when you got these choices of how much income you want to make,
You're right.
who's picking the low category, right? Oh well, I think over 100,000 might be a little too much for me and my family. I'm going for the 10 to 20,000 a year. Who's choosing that one? Nobody's choosing it. So everybody's going to be an electrical or a mechanical engineer. That
Yeah,
everybody's going to
right,
be an
right.
engineer or a psychiatrist. But if you lean a little more medical, you're going to be some sort of doctor. If you lean more with your hands, you're going to be an engineer. So it was like, no, never did it tell me I should be a hairdresser, because that's not even a college course. And then look where I end up. So it's a difficult thing. So I think that teenagers, if you have kids, uh, like I do, getting them exposed, just like hairdressers, getting exposed to a bunch of different things, so they can then have just more things to choose from. And there's no way you can do it all. Same thing like a hairdresser. It's like you kind of have to try a bunch of different things, probably not everything, but a bunch of different things, and then start focusing. And the hardest thing to do is drop some off. There was a time when I quit doing services that I was doing on some people. I did artificial nails at one time. I was really good at it at first. It was easy to build a clientele, but it was very limiting in a lot of ways. I could only do one client per hour, could not multitask. I could never get any faster. Each client took the full hour no matter what. So I had booked solid. But then when I wanted to do more, or extensions or hair replacement, I had to drop off the services that didn't make me as much money. And one was artificial nails. It was killing my back too, my neck, my back, because I'm leaning over with my head sideways, filing, so my shoulders are up
You
in the
was
air.
doing it the wrong way. You needed a better technique class.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Well, then, so my question then becomes, how did we arrive to this multi-technique classes? Because they didn't, I don't know if they've always existed or not, but to me, I think the popularity of multi-technique classes have definitely risen over the past 20 years. Whereas before, in the past, if you said, I have this multi-technique class, come on over, the I guess the tone or the mentality back then was, why do I need to learn multiple techniques? I just need one.
Well, first
And
of
I just need to
all,
focus on the one at a time, you know?
I think they didn't have so many techniques 20 years ago, first of all.
No, there was techniques. There was. There just no.
Not many. Not
I think you're saying popularity versus the ability of the techniques.
Well, okay, so 30 years ago, there was wefts, and that's all. And then shortly after wefts, we had individual strands and some tape ins and eye tips coming out. But there wasn't really, I mean, even within wefts, there was sewing them in and gluing them on, but it would still be called a wefts class, and maybe just learning a few different ways to put them in. But I think that as the techniques, first of all, you say the marketing of it. I think not many hairdressers did any of the techniques. So I think all hairdressers were just like getting marketed to do some sort of extension to increase your income. Any one of them will do. And now you've got a bunch of, and this is just my opinion, now you got a bunch of hairdressers that have tried multiple techniques and not sure which one will work for them. And it's just, The same thing we were talking about a little while ago about one of our future videos. I
Oh,
won't
yeah.
It's the same thing. It's people start something and don't stick with it long enough to make it successful. So and I was guilty of this. I got a job as a hairdresser sitting in that chair, just waiting for it to happen. Man, I got the license. Why isn't anybody coming to get their hair done? I did what I was supposed to do. Now come on in, people, and make me rich.
You're right, right. And
And I was sitting there reading my book because I'm old and there was no internet then. So I'm just reading How to Win Friends and Influence People at my chair, waiting for people to walk in. And a few walked in because we had a sign out there, and I had a few referrals and people would call. And I had that one or two cuts a day that would just walk in and maybe they'd send a friend in. But so many people do that. They get their license or they get certified in extensions and then or they don't get certified. That's my favorite. Why don't you want to do extensions? Well, I don't have anybody asking for them. Yeah, okay, right. Are they asking for all those other things? Some people ask for more, like haircuts. Everybody's 90-something% of people are getting a haircut because it's socially acceptable, but not everybody's just getting extensions. But today, more people are doing all of those, but you get certified and then nobody comes in. So you think, oh, I didn't get certified in the right one. Like I thought I should have become something other than a hairdresser because I was sitting there waiting and I thought maybe I need to get a job doing something else. So maybe I need to learn another extension technique. So I go and learn another technique. God, people aren't asking for this one either. Maybe I need to learn another one. And then you just think that if you learn the right one, that people are going to come. And it's the weirdest thing. Why don't people connect the part where just because you get certified in something doesn't mean that people just show up.
What? Build it and they will come? Isn't that
Yeah.
another expression? How you say?
Build it and they will come. It's funny because I was just cutting hair in a salon, and that is what my mom told me. It's time for you to open a salon, but they're business owners, So my mom and dad are like, okay, it's time for you to start your own thing. I see that you've kind of capped out in your mid-20s at somebody else's salon who they were friends with. And I don't know that I recommend that for everybody these days. I shouldn't have did it myself
hard,
at the
man.
time. Huh?
It's hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
Going
and it was
out
hard
on your
for
own
me.
is very, very hard. And it
I
is
would have
not
never
for
made it.
everybody.
I would have never made it without parents who helped me with all the money and the supplies. I had the labor. I put the new floor in. I painted the place. I got it ready. And I had a full book of clients. So when I sat in that place and started doing work, I could afford the bills with just my money. But I wasn't making any more money than working somewhere else until I hired a couple of hairdressers. And that wasn't easy to keep hairdressers. Big learning curve. And then where I made the majority of my money was not owning the salon. It was selling hair extensions and doing hair replacement, and then doing hair replacement and hair extensions and selling some of those products. So I got mixed feelings about owning salons also. It's more about the services you do, how you organize your book. And so when it comes to what you learn, I know we're talking about the 5 techniques of extensions, but anything you already know how to do. I went to a Paul Mitchell class one time. Scott Cole and Linda Yodici, and I know I've told this story before on here, and I was impressed with this haircut he's doing and this color technique she's doing. And I said, do you guys do, this is when I was young and impressionable and excited, and he's a platform artist getting paid a lot of money to be there. And I said, so do you guys do all this new wild fun stuff every day in the salon? He said, no. I was like, wait, what? What do you do? He said, I do basic cuts every 10 minutes all day. And my wife she just bangs out foil highlights every 30 minutes. We have assistants to do all the other stuff. I do all her cuts. She does all my highlights and colors. We have other people doing the shampoo and the blow drying and the styling. And she bangs out a highlight every 30 minutes all day, and I bang out a haircut every 10 minutes all day. And I was like, wow. So he said, yeah, you figure out what you're really good at, and you focus on that one thing, and you do a whole bunch of it. And I was like, oh my God, why am I at this stupid class? Well, I was at that class to learn new techniques that I'll never do, that I'll never actually do. I did a few for fun, but it was inspiration to get around somebody who's actually making money and getting hired to teach us to do the things that we're never going to do. But it's all in the name of broadening your mind, if you ask the right questions, if you meet the right people. Thank God for me, I had a business brain, and I'm like, how do you make all that money? Is this how? And he's like, no.
This was the clickbait to get you to show up so you could be
Yeah,
excited to sit and watch us do the thing we don't get to do that we want to do, you know.
right.
But
Yeah,
it's like, and that's the thing. I think that's the correlation with all the multiple techniques. I think it comes down to two different things. There are some stylists that are currently not doing any kind of hair extensions whatsoever. So the excitement of learning multiple techniques all at the same time, they're like, I am going to dive into the deep end of this swimming pool of hair extensions, and
right.
I'm going to be able to swim with the sharks. And then, you know, there is the people that have already been doing hair extensions and they've tried different techniques already. And they're like, you know what? I've seen there, I've been there, I've done that one, I did that one, I did that one, I did that one. So I just want to see what you're doing. And then like kind of like what you're talking about. I want to go see this show and see, you know, how are you doing yours? And maybe one of the things you're doing will overlap into what I'm currently doing. And I think the problem with all of that is you haven't decided where you're at with everything yet. Like you haven't developed a clientele. You don't have a plan, right? It's Mike Tyson quote. We were talking about Mike Tyson, so it's in the top of my mind right now. He always said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And I love that quote because you're like, yeah, I'm going to go in and like how you were saying earlier, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start learning how to do extensions. I'm going to build it and they're all going to come and they're all going to show up. And that's the fantasy. And then in reality, you're sitting at your station reading a book, waiting for people to walk in. And you're like, oh, hair extensions suck, man. There's no, right. I don't have anybody asking for it. Nobody's showing up. And it's like, no, you got to decide which type of hair extension are you the most excited about. And then you need to take a survey of your current clientele because those are the ones you're actively seeing the most. And you need to ask them not which one do they want because they don't know that they want it. You need to ask them,
Right.
what kind of hair extensions have you heard about? Or hypothetical speaking, if you were to get a hair extensions, what kind of hair extensions do you think you would look good in? And if, as long as you're playing in fantasy and you're not playing in reality, you're just taking a survey, people are going to be more willing to open up and give you feedback. Now you have a pool. Now you have some kind of data to work off of, right? And then you start researching it a little bit more. And then you see the one type of extensions that you was excited about doing. Does it match up with the survey that you just took that everybody else is wanting?
That's
Because
good.
just because you like doing this, if you don't have a market for that, then what's the point? Then it doesn't matter. Unless you're willing to hustle and put in that work to create that market, yeah, okay, fine. Then of course you could be successful. And if you've got that kind of a drive, bless your heart, you're going to be successful in everything.
I like I like what you said as far as the question. I don't even know if the answers matter as much as the heightened awareness and
Mm-hmm.
just the conversation around this new. It's first of all,
Yeah.
it's what you should be doing in the chair anyway, is talking about something different than
Yeah.
the sad weekend you both just had. Because so often that's what's going on. Oh God, I had a miserable weekend. What about you? Yeah, me too. Life just sucks, huh? Right. If we cut your hair today, maybe things will get better for both of us, but I doubt
Just a
it.
trim, just a trim.
Just a trim. Yeah, we'll just do a trim today, and maybe we'll both feel better. When you give me money, I'll feel a little bit. But that's so often what's going on early in the week because people party too hard on the weekend. In the beginning of their week, oh God, Tuesday, it's like Monday for us hairdressers. Our first day of work, we hate it. Hate doing your hair right now. I mean, I like you, don't get me wrong. I like you and your hair. At least they're smart enough to make it seem like they don't hate the person that they're. But most of the talk, maybe not that bad, but
Right.
it's pretty negative.
And
It's
then,
just like,
hey, look, we're done. Don't you feel pretty? Don't you feel good about yourself?
right, right. So just the fact that you said, I'm thinking about, you didn't say this, but this is kind of the conversation I'd have. I'd say, I'm thinking about learning how to do hair extensions. Have you ever heard of them? You know anything about them? Would you ever wear them? Or what kind would you wear if you ever did? And then just get them talking. It's something new and exciting for them. Maybe they say, I have worn extensions before and I loved or I hated this about them. And like you said, you've got this data. And if you're smart, you might actually take a little notebook and have a pluses and minuses on there, and don't do this. Eye tips suck. Beaded on stage extensions are amazing. No, that customers aren't going to know necessarily brands, but they're gonna guide you in some kind of direction. And a lot of their conversation might be negative also, because there's a big negative thing out there about extensions are damaging. You know,
right.
So you're gonna have those conversations. So you can't believe everything you hear, but it's fun to have that new, exciting conversation, even if it doesn't lead anywhere. It's fun for the clients. It's fun for you. It's a brand new conversation. And I think that here's a saying that I believe I made up. It's money is made in the mundane. Money is made in the mundane, boring work. I'm sorry to say it's boring, but when you learn how to get good at something and you are focusing and you're doing the same thing over and over, that's almost a definition of boring, doing the same thing over and over, because it's not new and exciting. I know you want to talk, but you got to give me just a few more seconds.
No, I have a question about that, so I want to make sure I'm
go ahead. What's your
understanding
question?
it. Are you saying, so when you're referring to mundane, are you saying like when we had a hairdresser came into the salon and we were all booking gray hair touch-ups and she's like, when the hell do we get to do some fancy hair color? And I'm like, dude, this is your car payment, this is your house note, this is your cell phone bill. That's what you mean by mundane work?
Right. So
okay.
You focused on something, you got really good at it, coloring gray roots, and you got ladies coming in every 3 or 4 weeks, and now you're booked solid doing it. Yeah, I know you want to do something fun and exciting and something different because you're doing that same thing over and over, but that's where the money is made, because when you do a lady's color, and it takes you 45 minutes to put not you, but a new hairdresser. It takes you 45 minutes to put color on that little bit of root, because you start here and then you're like here, and then 15 minutes later you're right here, and you finally get the whole head on, and where you started is finished process, and by the time you get to where the end.
I'm trying to calculate 45 minutes for a touch-up.
I know.
You need
You're
to
thinking,
come to Chicago and get a color class with me.
I'm just telling you
in 10 minutes.
Yes, but then that's your first time. But that's when you're in school, and then you get in a salon, and you maybe taking 30 minutes, and then 25 and 20, and then you get it down to where, my point is, when you first get started, you suck. You suck and you're slow.
Okay.
And then when you get better at it, how are you going to get better and faster? We talked about that a few weeks ago on charging by the hour. No, because you're going to get better and faster. So you're going to make more money because you're better and faster. And that's where money is made in the mundane.
Okay.
Now you're knocking out color retouches in 10 minutes or less.
5 minutes.
Let's give, we're not talking about experts. We're talking about the average good hairdresser.
Expert is 2 minutes.
Yeah. So let's say roots all over the head in 10 minutes. But you learned how to work with assistants and helpers, and you don't hit your computer like a novice. And that's 3 in 30 minutes, another 3. So you're doing 6 heads of color in an hour, because you have an assistant shampooing them out, and maybe that same assistant or another's blow drying and styling. Can you imagine how much money you're making?
Yeah, the average color touch-up is $50 across the country.
Okay.
So simple math, 50 times 6 in an hour, that's $300 an hour. You show me what other industry is bringing $300 an hour. Now, who the hell wants to charge by the hour and trying to make 20, 30 bucks when you have the potential to crack 2 to 3, 300 or more or less, or give or take?
Well, I was listening to this video on YouTube the other day, and it was the good and the bad of the factory, the original factory worker. And it's what made me realize part of what's going on here. In the factory, they had a guy whose whole job was pulling a lever every so many seconds. Something happened, and when something got to his time in the line, he had to pull the lever. Okay. And so I think it was, oh God, I wish I could remember who it was, but one of the greats that I watch on YouTube. And he was saying that's where true intervention happens, is with the lowest level worker doing the same job over and over, learns the best way to automate the job. So while this guy is doing this all day and boring, and this is why you get better when you're on the other side of it. He's just doing this. He didn't have to look anymore. He just pulls the lever. He's looking around. He notices every time he pulls a lever, some other thing moves. And so before you know it, he ties a string to the lever, a string to this thing, and every time he needs to pull a lever, this other wheel turns.
That is awesome.
And that's how inventions are made, is by the people that do the same thing over and over and over. And so then he isn't needed anymore. But that's how he gets. But I mean, if you think on the negative side, he loses his job. On the positive side, he's so smart and innovative, they give him a raise. They put him in a new position, making more money because he can see how to figure out problems or how to solve problems and be more efficient. And so that's kind of how the money is made in the mundane, is that when you start knocking out color on roots every 10 minutes, you start making more money, but it could become boring. It could become where you're not so happy about it anymore. So you have to learn how to be excited, keep it interesting and new, make it about the conversations, potentially selling retail, making the next appointment, send me your friends and family, and building the business around what's going on. Because now during that, you used to have an hour with them. Now you're with them for 10 minutes. So you got to make the conversation count. So during that 10 minutes, what are you talking about? Let's wax your ears, your eyebrows, your nose hairs. Let's get you scheduled for something more and better and different and fun. But I'm making the big money in this really quick 10 minutes. How can I do more and different and not make this customer feel like they're just getting run through a mill? They don't just have a string tied to their lever, and just next. So you do there is good and bad in all of this, but that's where I talk about money is made in the mundane. It's the boring work, the thing that's over and over and over again, because you get really fast and good at it, and now the money's made. So what do you trade that for? Do you trade that for, I'm bored, I want to do something fun and exciting and totally change everything and just throw all those customers away and start doing extensions? No, because you don't have the clients there. So that's when I would caution doing some sort of slow transition. Sure, maybe you can find another service that makes more money per hour and start doing that on your day off or at night or 1 hour a week or 1 day a week or half a day a week. Dedicate a small portion of time towards that new thing, see how it does, and let it grow as it pushes out. Oh, I just hit I'm not used to having a microphone right here. And so then you slowly increase the new thing and decrease the old thing. That's my advice.
So that's great advice for a new person that's entering into the world of hair extensions. Now, the other side of that, where people are already been doing hair extensions for a while, now they've got multiple techniques under their belt. This goes back to a conversation I was just having last night with a stylist that I know very well. We were visiting with each other. She said to me, can you teach me another technique? And I said,
Why?
How many techniques are you doing already? She goes, well, I could do about a dozen techniques now. I go, yeah, exactly.
What's your goal?
I go,
500.
Right. Like, what are you trying to do? What kind of hair are you trying to do? What is the issue that your clients have?
She's got the issue, not the client.
No, but this is exactly right. So when you've already done, I was teaching a hair extensions class on Monday, and it kind of like overlaps with the conversation I had last night. She comes in on Monday to learn hair extensions, and I says, same question. I ask everybody the same question. Do you currently do hair extensions? And if so, what kind of hair extensions do you do? And she said the same thing. Oh, I've done them all. So then why are you here? What are you hoping I'm going to teach you today that's going to be so different and it's magically going to change your world? She's like, well, you always learn something every time you go to a class. I go, the one thing you ain't learned is how to sit down and reevaluate your life and figure, like, sit down and
How to
let's
sell them instead of how to
yeah,
do it.
like, let's talk about this. What kind of clientele do you have? Do you do long hair? She goes, no, none. Every client I have has short hair. I go, really? That's interesting. She goes, well, I'm a hair loss specialist, and a lot of the products that I deal with is how to recover alopecia, how to recover, bald spots, tickle trickle mania, that condition where people pluck their hair, they can't stop plucking their hair. I'm like, wow, hold on. I am not going to show you how to do a full head of extensions today. We are going to focus today's education on how to do spot fills, how to do accent pieces, how to do partials, how to do that kind of stuff. That is your specialty. This is your thing. If you don't have one freaking client that has a long hair, why the hell am I going to spend the next 3-4 hours showing you how to do mermaid hair?
Right.
For a client you're never going to have.
Because it looks like fun.
Bernard, her eyes were like, what? Like she goes, she didn't understand. She goes, what do you mean I'm not going to learn how to do a full head long hair? Like, what? Why? When are you ever going to do this? When are you going to ever use this? And then you're going to be in the next class next month learning a new technique saying, the last technique I just learned didn't work because you have no clientele for it. It's not your wheelhouse. It's not your specialty. You just told me your specialty is in short hair and short to medium hair and filling in missing spots in the head.
Or you could also go on a route like, what's your marketing plan? What do you mean? How much are you dedicated to spending a month on Facebook ads? For what? For doing this new thing you want to start learning that you have no
that's the thing, right? If it's not solving an issue that you have, and if it's not filling in to complement what you're already doing, then are you learning this new technique to expand your business, or are you just learning this new technique for the sake of saying, I had $1,000 sitting in my purse, I had nothing else to do with it, I didn't want to burn it, so I just want to spend it on something that's going to be useless to me? Like, what are you doing?
And some people listen to this, I know there's different thought processes going on right now. Some people would say, why wouldn't you take per $1,000 for education? It's not that we don't want to take people's money for education. It's more that, and I do like money. I do like making money. It is what I measure. It's how I measure my success. That's my measurement. That's how I know if I'm moving forward in life, if I'm making more money, because I'm a businessman. But my main money is not made in teaching. That's more of a passion and a necessity to sell the product that I have. I want to sell more hair in the hair extension world. If I sell hair, you make more money. Where's the camera? You make more money. And I make more money. And my employees that sell the hair get to keep their jobs. They have a job to sell hair. Oh my God.
It is the whole purpose of this channel, the profitable stylist.
We don't make money doing this either.
We don't make money doing this. But that's the thing. I think making money gets confused.
Yep.
Making money is earning money or creating money.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say money, income. Are you making an income or are you earning an income? And it may sound one and the same, but it is not. If you are making an income, it is directly associated to the amount of work that you put into the amount of pay you get back. Earning an income is investing into making money and having that return keep coming back to you residually even. Like the whole thing that you go on YouTube right now, I think one of the top searches is passive income strategies, yeah. Right?
Right.
Why is it such a popular topic? It's because people want to put their money to work. There's another, today on the expressions day, money makes money. There is that expression, money makes money. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Takes money to make money.
Takes money to make money, right?
Some people say that, yeah.
So if you're putting in the hours and you're just getting paid for the hours, or if you're putting in the job and you're just getting paid for that job, that is it. You're done. you're only as good as your next job lined up or your next hour that you're physically able to put in.
Right.
Whereas if you like this, we do YouTube so people can build a level of trust with us, so they can appreciate the value of what we are putting out there, so then they can come take the class. We still don't make any money on that class either, because we want to make sure that you are learning how to do this service properly, so you can go back to the salon, get your clientele, and become profitable. If your client is happy, they're going to come back more often and get more stuff. Now that you, the stylist, you making monies. And then because you're making monies, you, the stylist, are going to need more supplies. Now you're going to come to us. And now we're going to be happy because we need to keep ordering more supplies. The manufacturer is going to be happy because they need to keep producing more supplies, right? That's the wheelhouse. And once that starts turning, it becomes that snowball effect. That becomes that avalanche. You know, it's like a juggernaut, and it's a beautiful thing because now everybody's on the same path moving forward. And everybody's making money. That's how you're earning an income versus making an income. How's that for a sound bite?
Awesome.
There you go, RJ. There's your sound bite.
Yeah, I like that. My analogy is similar. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I call it a hourly mentality compared to a business owner mentality. And I think hairdressers don't realize, for the most part, they're business owners. The weird thing about our career is, you can't even call it a career because some people don't choose the part of our business that could be a career. If you're just going to work at a chain salon that pays hourly, that's it. You're definitely doing that first one you talked about. That's hourly pay, and it's a little more per week than you would make right out of school going to a private salon or a commission salon or the one where you have to build your own business. Right, you get to jump ahead a little bit, but then there's a ceiling on it and it's capped. Yeah. Whereas if you choose the road where you build your own business, a lot of hairdressers don't realize they got into a situation where they have to build the business. You have to build it. People have to want you. They have to like you. They have to like your personality, your skill level, and you have to be in an area where there is enough people to support what you want to do. And so that is the big, like, whoa, aha moment when you become a hairdresser. You have to build it. You should have to build it. If you build it, you can build it to whatever you want. The sky's the limit. There's no ceiling. And so now you are
There's
a business.
Another expression. We need a counter on this side of the screen. How many expressions we have put out this week?
Right. So you create your own income in that situation. Yeah. And that's why I don't like the 5 techniques class per se. I did it knowing it was more of a teaser class. People wanted multiple techniques. They felt like it was worth it. So I did, let's see, I said 5 techniques. I don't even know if I could name them. I'm going to test myself right now. We had the 2 behind me, beaded strands and beaded wefts. Oh, we threw in the beaded topper just to be safe. But then we had the she hair keratin bonds. And then she hair also had a tape-in technique. So that was the 5 that we taught, that we sell. And so those 5, that was a lot. There's no way. I mean, I can teach on-stage wefts and strands in 2 to 3 hours. And I think you got it well enough that you move on. But you really can't learn the haircut. And you can't learn placement patterns. So I would show mannequin heads. And I supplemented a lot of this with video training. I said, you don't even have to stop to take notes. I'm going to give you my online training, which is the full class in each one of these techniques. So we did give a lot of value for what we did. And if you were a little, I don't know, self-motivated and you went back and then watched hours and hours, or just pick the one you like the most and then watch that online training. So I tried to be as honest as I could about it. Even when I taught it, I said, there's no way you're going to learn any one of these techniques really well in one day when we're learning so many, because already it's hard to retain everything you learn in one class, much less 5 different techniques.
Right.
So let's do a little bit of every one of them. You're going to decide which one you like the most. You'll have online training for anyone and everyone that you want. And we even did it where we would loan all the tools at one point. And we didn't sell a kit for any one of them except during the class, and said, you know what, if you find during this class you really like keratin bonds by She Hair, let's get that kit. and just do that. Or you can buy all the kits, or you can just buy the kit for the beaded topper or the beaded strands and wefts. Most people do the strands and wefts together, or you could just do one. So we did the best we could to make it make much sense as possible. But the truth is, I think it's better to focus on one or two and have just a very few options and then market that technique and get rich, get busy.
There is power behind confidence. If you're really good at doing something, you get confident in doing that thing. And it just exudes that energy off of you. So now when the client's sitting in your chair, how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've heard a client ask the stylist, "What do you think of this?" And without even hesitating, she says, "Oh yeah, no, that's garbage. I do this. This is way better." And it's like, no, that's what you do better. Why are you trashing what the client just asked about? There was a level of excitement there. There was an opportunity for either you to grow or for you to, take what the client said and cultivate that into something. You could have invested that moment of excitement from the client into a
Yep.
something, right?
Yep.
Instead, you just shut down the client. You told her, "Shut up. You're an idiot for opening your mouth." And
Yeah.
then
Just listen to me. I know all.
right? And now you're making yourself look like,
That's funny.
we can't cuss on here, but
You
you're
already
not.
have.
No, I've been very mindful of watching my
No,
mouth.
you already have a couple of times.
Well, okay, after this, we're going through a checklist. I don't
Yeah, not
recall
me. I'm not wasting my time. You go back and listen to it.
screenshot, or it didn't exist. But now you done goofed me up. Yo, so yeah, now you're acting like a donkey, you know, uh, because you're over here going, "Oh no, that sucks. This is nothing. I do this. This is the best thing." And it's like, come on, man. You take the opportunity to be good and get better. If you're so good at doing that certain haircut, or if you're so good at doing that certain color, if you're so good at doing that certain extension, that's what's nice about it. If you've just came back and you just learned 5 different techniques or 10 different techniques, or there's that one class with 1,000 techniques,
Is
there,
there?
yeah, there's like 1,000 techniques in 6 hours or something like that. Uh,
Send me that link. I want to take that class.
let me know if you survive it. It's like a boot camp thing. Anyways, as it goes, there's hairdressers are already squirrels to begin with their freaking ADD, and now you've just learned,
Us included.
us
Us included.
included, right? 20 different techniques you just got in your head at any given time that's going through your mind too. There is no way you're going to focus down enough to be, this is the one, or this is the two that you need. And I think it comes back to being a specialist and an expert in one field versus you want to be like the general practice. Because, okay, let's be fair too. There are stylists that do multiple hair extension techniques, and they are successful in it. And that's fine. But how many years of experience have they had? How long did they stick with that to be able to
Right.
learn and be versed in
Right.
doing and being able to offer multiple
I
techniques?
slowly learned lots of techniques over the years. I'd pick up a new one and get good at it. There are techniques that I don't do anymore. I have dropped some off. Like I will not sew a weft in. And I know people are like, but that's new and it's popular. It's not
It's
the way I sewed
popular.
it
It's
in.
not new. It's popular. That's the difference.
Well, the way it's done now, there's a new twist to it, and that's
Yeah.
the part that I gave it a shot just to kind of feel it out. I'm like, oh, wow, they're sewing wefts in again. That's so old. Oh, with a bead. Let me see. Nope, not worth it. Not very fast. Not very healthy for the hair.
To
Not
you,
gonna do
right.
it.
It's not worth it.
But but putting a braid or a cable on the head, laying the weft on, and sewing it down, I did that for a long time,
Yeah.
and moved on to bigger, better, faster, healthier techniques. No reason to go back there. So I don't know. I do know a whole lot of techniques, but really, if I were to jump back into doing hair, would probably only do 3. I would only promote 3. So it's not a terrible thing to know 2 or 3. I want to go back to what you said a minute ago, though, because I think how you handle the question is the most important thing. We record our phone calls, and we have a company that will point some things out sometimes to us in the marketing. Hey, somebody answered the phone and said this. What do you think? I'm like, oh my God, I hate it. Who was that? Let's listen to this again. And then I forward that call to the person in the salon who did this call, and let them hear themselves. And nobody likes hearing themselves. But, one was like, I'm so sorry. I know what I did wrong. And we talked about it before. Whoops, I messed up again. The other one was like, so did I do anything wrong? Because she heard herself on there and thought, yep, everything I did was what I would do again. And so I'm glad she told me that, because I'm saying it wasn't terrible, but it should have been done like this. And so the one that gets me is when somebody calls up and says, do you do this type of extension on the phone? And if you do any type of extension, if you just say no to that question, the conversation's over. And I like the fact that you were trying to make it a conversation, because that's where the sale is made too. And this should go into a sales and marketing class, because I've had too often where somebody calls my salon and somebody answers the phone and they ask, do you do blah, blah, blah extensions? Oh, no, ma'am, never heard of that. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. But we do so many. Maybe one of the ones we do is exactly the same as this other technique. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of that type, but we do so many extensions here. We're actually known as the place to go to get extensions. Oh, I know, that's why I called. I saw it on your website. Or right. So don't freaking hang up in 2 seconds with the answer of no, because you just lost a lead that I pay a ton of money to get. So that's what I told my hairdressers. So let's have a conversation. And like you just said, I didn't totally understand where you were going with when you said they don't know how to do it, and you're saying
I'll explain it in a minute.
Yeah. To me, it almost sounded like you were going back from the focus to maybe you do need to learn a new technique if the client asks about it. And I don't think that's what you meant.
No.
I know that's kind of what I was thinking when you said it. And I was thinking you're right in the fact that you shouldn't be the know-it-all negative, like, oh, that's a terrible technique. You don't want to do that. Come do what we do. We're much better. Because all that does is make the client defensive. It makes anybody defensive when you're so negative. You're like, what you should really hear when somebody says, do you do blah, blah, blah extensions? You know what they're really saying? I need hair.
This is exactly. The first thing the client says is never the real thing the client is asking for. The client does not understand our language.
Right.
I don't care.
5 techniques on my head, please.
Right? I don't care how many TikToks somebody watches. I don't care how much YouTube somebody watches. I don't care how much Instagram and Twitter somebody reads or looks at. They don't understand the language. They're not licensed. So they can hear the words. Like, what is it? They say the most dangerous person is the person who has a little bit of verbiage. Not knowledge, verbiage.
I've heard knowledge, but either way, I think that's a dangerous person.
Okay, well, then there goes another saying I goofed. Regardless, to me, when a client comes in and starts asking for very specific things, brands, styles, techniques, they're using very specific verbiage, very specific words. And like you're saying, the front desk, oh, I never heard of that. And they just hang up. Or I hear the stylist say, oh, no, that thing sucks. I do this.
That's why they want to take the 5 techniques class. They keep hearing about these things they never heard of, and they think, I need to learn them all.
But you're not listening to what the client is not saying, I specifically want that. That's why I'm asking for it. The client is saying, like what you just said, I think I need hair, or I know I want hair.
But they don't use those words.
Please help me. But they're not just coming out saying, hey, Bernard, guess what? I think I'm going bald over here. I need some help. Nobody's going to, well, not nobody, but majority of the people are not going to say that. They're going to say something else because they're fishing, because either they don't know exactly how to ask, or they're conscious about asking. You just don't know until you start diving deeper into it.
Exactly.
So
Just like when a
that's
client
what I was going with. That is, you gotta pay attention to you gotta be willing to be
try to figure out what
open-minded.
they actually want.
What do they actually want? And you got, it's like children. Like I heard, I was in a class and I learned this and I thought it was really interesting. For example, and I don't know if you've run into this directly, but I'm going to use you and Carson as a proxy for my example. Carson comes and says, "Hey dad, what's going on?" And he's basically measuring your response. You're either going to say, "Hey, what's up, buddy? I got nothing going on. What do you want?" Or you're going to say, "Carson, I'm busy right now. Give me a second. Hold on." Carson now knows I'm not going to ask for pizza or ice cream. I'm going to walk away for a second and come back in 5 minutes and then ask for, I'm just making up, pizza and ice cream.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, if that's what he wants, and he knows usually when he first says, "Hey dad, can I have pizza and ice cream?" And usually 9 times out of 10, you say no. He's going to measure first. What mood are you in before he asks that question? And then he's going to say, the second thing he's going to say is, "Are you hungry?" He's not going to say, "I'm hungry." He's going to say, "Are you hungry?" To see what mood you're in. It's not until then you be like, "Oh yeah, hey buddy, I got nothing going on. What's up, kiddo? Oh yeah, no, I am hungry. Are you hungry too? Let's get something to eat." Then he's going to say, "Yeah, dad, let's get something to eat. How about some pizza?" Now you're going to be like, "Yeah, you know what? Good suggestion, kiddo. Let's get you some pizza." Like that's the client is basically doing, it's just a human condition to try to feel out the authority before they try to cross that line of whatever imaginary crap somebody thinks exists.
That's why focusing on one technique is okay. If you're good at and do one thing really well and somebody calls, you can say, "Let's talk more about that." One of my best examples ever was when I taught a salon coordinator of mine that people are not actually asking for price. They call up and they say, "How much is a haircut?" They're not really
No.
asking how much a haircut is. They're judging your politeness. They don't know what to ask actually. They think they need their hair done, but they say, "How much is a haircut?" And you can repeat the question back, and this actually, she called me like 30 minutes later and goes, "Oh my God, it works. How much is a haircut? Is a haircut what you're looking for today?" "Well, no, actually I was hoping to get my hair colored." Well, they didn't even want a hair. They're gonna get a cut also, but first of all, if they found our salon number somewhere, they're not they're not thinking we're cheap because we're not we're not poised as a cheap low end salon. So they're not gonna. Maybe they're asking the price to see if maybe I can afford getting a good service. Maybe I will go there. Let me just kind of see what a haircut costs. Maybe they really do want a price of a haircut, but they really want is, will I feel comfortable there? Should I go there? How good will it be? How accommodating are they? How comfortable will the whole experience be? So then she says, "Oh, color. Okay. What color were you thinking? You going darker or lighter?" And because color should be just darker, right? But they don't know. Like you said, they don't know the verbiage. So she says, "Oh, I wanted highlights."
I
Well,
want
that's not even,
balayage. Right.
yeah,
They
that's
don't know what
not
they're
even
asking for.
it's not even color. And then she goes, "Oh, yes, highlights. Okay." And then you ask a little bit more about the highlights. What were you thinking? Who did you see? And they say, "Well, I saw this thing where a friend of mine's got red and blonde." Not even just one highlight.
That's
Now,
not
it's
even
like,
highlighting. That's dimensional color now.
yeah,
You're
now it's
right.
two
You just
different
go down the
colors.
rabbit hole.
It just keeps getting, and each one of those was a progression of more and more money, also, which was great. And now it might be a distinguishing factor between like what hairdresser can actually do the service that we're asking to do. And so you don't have to be quiet. And so then she knows what hairdresser. So now all she has to say is, "What's a good day for you?" Because she's trying to push you towards a particular hairdresser at a certain time of day when that hairdresser's open to do all of these things. The stylist now, I mean, the client now doesn't even care what stylist. They have a relationship with the salon coordinator, and they just want to be in
They
our
want to
salon.
come in and be part of the salon now,
Yeah,
right?
because they feel
That's
comfortable. They got heard. They got to
This is
talk.
exactly.
They got to explain what they're looking for. They didn't know how to say what they wanted before, but because you probed a little bit, the conversation got deeper. And I get it. Sometimes you got one person on hold, two people standing at the desk trying to get rung up, and it could be a quick, can you hold please? Can you hold please? I'll ring you. I know that is part of the problem. And you're like, no, we don't do that. Okay, thanks for calling. Goodbye. And they hang up real quick. But it needs to be a little bit more of a conversation when possible. Or hold on, let me get a stylist to talk to you about that, and put somebody else on the phone that has time to talk to them, because that's where your future business is. Have the conversation. I got to go in a few minutes. I just looked at the time, Eddie. We could talk all day, always. I know these
Wait,
hours,
man, this
these
hour
hours
goes by
always
fast, man. They go by
fly
real
by.
fast. All right.
So nothing wrong with the multiple technique classes. I don't think you should stop there. If you find one in those multiple technique classes and you're like, oh God, I really think I would really connect with this technique. Or if you already know it, just take that class from somebody that really knows that technique really well and get good at it, and then practice it, and then do some clients right away so you can practice it more. That's my advice.
Hit us up in the comments section. Let us know how many techniques you're doing. Do you like doing multiple techniques? Do you need to learn one? Does it take you 45 minutes to do hair color and you want to come to Chicago and have a class with me? I will help you. I will help you. Catch y'all next week, people. Thanks.
Bye. So I'm